Good evening and welcome to another Burn News and Views. I'm your host, Don Burgess. And with us this evening, we have two doctors, not one, Dr. Ernest Peets, who's Cabinet Minister for Youth Sport. I say recreation, but it's culture, I think. Old habits. And Dr. Jennifer Attride-Stirling, welcome to you both.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Don.
Ernest and I go, Dr. Peets and I go way back. One of my oldest friends here. Dr. Peets, you've been a cabinet minister for 3 months now. What has been the best and most challenging part so far?
Oh, that's an easy question to answer. Thank you for wading in very lightly. It's been an amazing opportunity. So I guess the best thing I can probably share with you is an opportunity to work with an incredible team around the cabinet, as well as an incredible team here at the ministry, both here at headquarters, but it's also in culture and sport, as well as with all of the other persons in the Senate. So that's been absolutely phenomenal. I can't begin to explain how pleased I am with what I've experienced so far.
If I didn't want to wade in lightly, I'd be gunning for the team that you support in the Premier League.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of complaints at the moment, besides for the fact that my phone never stops ringing. So I'm tethered to my phone more now today than I've probably ever been.
Do you find like people are giving you ideas, or is it mostly complaints?
Actually, most of the time that my phone is ringing, it's work related. So it's either my fellow cabinet ministers, could be fellow parliamentarians, or something to do with work. Usually it's work related.
Okay. Across your ministry, what is one idea that you would like to see implemented?
Just about all of them. So right now, of course, we're dealing with issues related to the recovery regarding the pandemic. So we're certainly working through some of those issues regarding the safe return of sport. But, you know, the ministry not only includes sport, it also includes culture, you know, so there's some things on both sides of the coin that we're looking to implement. But a lot of that right now in the short term has relates to the pandemic and our recovery from it.
One of the ideas, and when you were sworn in, you mentioned the ministry having a national youth policy. And as a father of three, is it three? Is that correct?
Actually, it's now four.
Four. Okay, four. Having a father of four, how important is it to having the national youth policy, and how is that progressing?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, you're absolutely correct. That was a part of the throne speech. It is one of our initiatives. That's a part of our parliamentary obligations during this parliamentary session. So right now, the status of the youth policy, we're certainly working on the civic inclusion piece. So right now, that conversation, working with our policy analysts, the individuals going to be responsible for the technical pieces of that. We're certainly wading through all of the information, collating it together. And we're looking forward to presenting a draft for consideration.
So can you give us a little preview of maybe some of the pieces that are going to make that up?
Well, at this moment, I would love to be able to uncover that, but I probably shouldn't or can't. But I can say, you know, is this particular part of the youth policy, as relates to this particular throne speech, did introduce something unique, and that is, we really want to hone in on civic engagement. We want to make sure that the policies and the laws that we're implementing and creating, we understand that they affect our youth the most. So having their involvement and having a spot and a place for them to actually be a part of the process regarding decisions that are being made, that's the thing that we really want to work on and focus on. Otherwise than that, you know, the staff at Youth and Sport, they're very talented. The depth level there is very deep. So I have all the confidence in the world that they're going to pull something together.
You mentioned about the return to play to sports. we know that government is working on the return to play. Can you provide an overview of the plans?
Well, most people probably have already seen the document. If you haven't, please get online, go to the government website, download the stages of return to play. If you can't find it on the website, please let someone know. We'll certainly get an email copy to you. I can tell you that right now we're at stage 3. So most people, of course, are really concerned about speed. And so we're not necessarily saying that we're not concerned about the speedy return to play, but we're really also concerned about making sure that when we do return to play, we're doing so in a very safe and manner. So we're certainly guided by the government's overall policy, as well as the government's overall handling of the COVID pandemic. And of course, we're coming up with the stages. Right now we're in stage 3, which allows for competitive training. The final stage, of course, is returning back to regular competitive matches. We're unable right now to move to stage 4. Stage 3 requires also the saliva testing for the contact sports, which I believe there are about 8 of our national sporting bodies have been designated as contact sports. So that testing is underway. Actually, we're doing some testing tonight, tomorrow, as well as on the weekend. And we're certainly encouraging all of our national sporting bodies and clubs to register for the saliva testing so that we can get everyone tested, so that we can seek cabinet approval to move to stage number 4, which is competitive play.
Right. So it's not every sport that's going to have the saliva testing, it's just the specific 8?
Yes, it's those that are designated as contact sports. Contact sports, at least from the information that we've been receiving from the professionals that have been safely guiding us so far, that particular cohort and activity is a lot riskier than others. And we're taking a very safe, conservative approach. So we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. Obviously, of course, we're trying to protect not only just the short term, we're also trying to protect our long-term interests. So we don't want to rush into doing something because we're trying to be speedily about it. And then later on in a few weeks or a few months, have an outbreak and a spike. And then all of a sudden we've got to scale back our activities and perhaps regress back into a previous phase.
I know, Dr. Attride-Stirling, you were over at the Ministry of Health for a while. What sort of input have you been able to give with regard to return to play?
Well, yeah, I mean, the COVID work is pretty all-consuming across so many sectors of society, right, and the economy and the government. So the knowledge about COVID and the pandemic and its management has been just absolutely fundamental in helping sports return, helping cultural events return, providing a lot of guidance and support, and also to help folks understand the reason why some of these things have to be the way they are.
Right. This is open to both of you. Do you find like people are questioning why hasn't this returned quicker, and promoting the value of getting people doing healthy exercise?
Yeah, Minister, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Those type of sentiments and questions we get all the time. I mean, most people would agree. I mean, I'm not sure if this is an official term, but, there is a sense of COVID fatigue. The pandemic's been around for quite some time, perhaps longer than people would have expected or certainly want. And we're certainly looking for some return back to normality, the easing of restrictions and whatnot. So there's always been this push, for, well, let's get things moving, let's get things done so that we can get back to normal. And I certainly get that. And trust me, there's nobody interested more than we are in seeing our athletes and our students out there enjoying recreational sport as well as professional sport than we are. That's the reason why we're here. We're here to give guidance and support to Bermuda's recreation and sport. So we want to see athletes out there. We want to see teams out there just as much as the teams want to be out there. but we also have the opportunity and responsibility to do so in a manner that's safe. So we're doing our level best, just like other countries and jurisdictions. The more we discuss, the more we talk, the smarter we get. So we certainly are a lot better at this than we were perhaps 6 to 9 months ago. So we've been learning as we go, but we've also been trusting the guidance that we've been getting from the professionals.
Now, you mentioned 8 contact sports. Just to be clear for everybody, what are the 8 sports?
I don't have them right in front of me right now, but they would include, sports such as rugby, for example. The obvious one, of course, would be football. I would imagine also martial arts would fall into those. That particular list, of course, Maceo Deal has already communicated to those 8 professional sporting bodies on who they are. We can provide that information by sending a link or just directing people to the ministry for confirmation.
Yeah, I can give you the list. I was able to retrieve it quickly. Done. It's basketball, boxing, football, hockey, netball, sancho, volleyball, and rugby.
Okay, great. So those sports, know that everyone, and it was good news that they're having to get the saliva test rather than the nasal swabs.
Absolutely, and as the minister said, it is the adults that are required to do it now. Well, as of tomorrow, for young people aged 17 and younger, it's just strongly recommended.
Okay. Now, I don't want to jump the gun, but is there some sort of announcement about youth sports imminent on the horizon? Is there something you can say? Children returning to play. I know it puts you somewhat on the spot.
If I heard the question correctly, well, we are releasing a press statement tomorrow as it relates to what the Permanent Secretary has just indicated, that the requirement for testing for minors, we're always in dialogue, and we're always meeting and discussing and talking with the CMO and with the COVID subcommittee regarding the pandemic. And we're constantly trying to make sure that what we're doing is guided by the best advice. So after consultation with parents, with youth in sport, clubs and the community, as well as with the health professionals, we're announcing to the public tomorrow that as of tomorrow, the government's position on saliva testing for return to play for stage 4 only applies to adults. However, there is a caveat. It's still strongly recommended. So the testing facility for minors is available if moms and dads are minded to take advantage of it. Also, it's available particularly if your club or sport in their own individual right think it's mandatory for participation.
Right. When you say a testing facility for minors itself, it won't be one of the 3 that are already set up or 4 that are already set up. It'll be different.
The testing for minors as of tomorrow, from a policy point of view, is not mandatory. But the capacity to test on minors is still available if moms and dads would like to take advantage of it. Also, if their particular sport or club makes it a recommendation to their athletes.
Okay. Now, I wanted to get a little bit into the monthly testing, and if somebody tests positive, we've seen like in overseas professional sports, even with the best of intentions, there have been some outbreaks and some teams have had positive results. What will be the procedure in Bermuda if, let's say, somebody on one of the rugby teams tests positive? What will happen?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, PS.
No, by all means, Minister, go ahead.
Sure. That question comes up quite often. The procedures about handling a positive test remain the same. So lots of people are concerned about the privacy. They're concerned about, how the information is going to be disseminated. So what's happening in sports as relates to saliva testing is going to mirror what happens with the testing overall. So if people are concerned about confidentiality, the policy that we're employing, it's the same mechanism and policy that epidemiology as well as health have already employed. Your information is kept confidential. The only person that knows about your results are you. If your test is negative, a confirmation is sent to your private email address. If your test is positive, the only persons that are made aware of that information goes to your doctor and the team of epidemiology. And then it will follow the normal procedures as relates to contacting the individual.
Yeah. So from there, the contact tracing team will notify the team that person's involved with and the league.
Yeah, the
And
contact
they'll have to get
tracing.
tested.
No, the contact tracing that, sorry to cut you off, the contact tracing that happens, it's exactly like any other contact tracing. As the minister said, what happens elsewhere is what will continue to happen. So when there's a positive, the contact tracing begins. The individual has to name their close contacts, people that they have been within 6 feet of for more than 15 minutes without a mask and so on. And then the contact tracers contact those individuals. So they wouldn't inform the league, and they certainly, when contact tracing happens, you don't get told who was the case. You just get told that you were close to somebody.
So we'll take the rugby example. So we'll say John Smith tested positive and played in a rugby game with not only his team but another team. He will have to name that all these players. Maybe not the names, but so and so's team.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a suspension of play in the league as well while these players are getting tested.
Well, not just tested. If you're a close contact, you have to quarantine for 14 days, right? So once you're quarantined, you're quarantined.
So then the league will know because they've got all the players out from X number of teams.
I guess people might suspect it.
Okay. This is sort of a big sports year for Bermuda. We've got the Carifta Games here, and hopefully we'll have the Olympics a little later. What's the ministry doing to assist the Bermuda National Athletic Association with Carifta?
Yeah, those conversations have started. I know throughout the Carifta Nation, at least the information that we've received, is that the member states and bodies do want to have Carifta this year. Of course, you will recall that it was canceled last year. Like lots of other major sporting events, did not occur last year. The information that we've received is that the date in which they have settled on will be July of this year. And Bermuda is still the hosting country. So working really, really closely with the Bermuda Track and Field Association regarding their plans to host the event this year.
Okay. And how is the ministry assisting sporting bodies who have overseas competitions?
Oh, the overseas conversation. Oh, so that usually would come through, I would imagine, the Bermuda Olympic Association. But right now, a lot of the conversations done about whether or not events are going to be hosted here or whether or not individuals are going to be participating overseas, all of it really is couched in the whole COVID pandemic conversation. You know, what do I need to get done in order to arrive here, to participate, to bubble? What do I need to get done if I'm leaving here and traveling overseas? So a lot of our conversations right now are helping individuals to navigate that whole COVID conversation, to make sure they got the right information. If we're able to do something, we'll certainly do our best to assist. If it can't be done, then we have to make the hard call and say, you know what, it doesn't appear that what's being asked is something that we can actually practically make happen because the obstacles around COVID just make it impossible.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you this, and it might be too early to know, but asking anyway. Do you think that we will have a Bermuda Day parade this year?
The word I would use to answer that question is think of Bermuda Day reimagined.
Sorry, I missed that last little bit.
Yeah, think about the Bermuda Day, the whole festivity of it in a reimagined way. having that particular day come off in the manner in which we're used to, it's unrealistic. But we're certainly in a better place today than we were a few weeks and a few months ago. So right now the team is talking about Bermuda Day, and the word I can use to describe potentially what that will look like will be reimagine.
Reimagine, okay. Because I know the half marathon run is going to be limited to the number of participants. Along with that, how do we also promote social physical distancing along the route to make sure that people are safe?
Yeah, so I think that's the reason why the word reimagine probably fits it. So we're certainly going to be working with all the stakeholders, the marshals, the Bermuda Track and Field Association, the police, the COVID team, to make sure that we have a coordinated program in order to have something occur in a manner that's safe. And we will do that the best way we can, communicate that to the public, and certainly ask the public to cooperate with the efforts that we're putting in place regarding protocols.
Okay. Well, the last question that I have tonight, and then I'll give you guys a chance to say something at the end. The island has gone a while without naming a national hero. Will we get a new one in 2021?
Well, I am aware, Don, that we haven't named a national hero in a few years. I would guess perhaps the last time one was named may have been a few years ago, perhaps in 2017. So to my knowledge right now, a national hero has not been named or identified by the naming recognition committee. So I'm certainly working with the Department of Culture regarding this issue, but I don't have anything officially and formally be able to announce regarding a national hero at this time.
Okay. As we wrap up, I want to give you both a chance to say something about the department, maybe something that you feel passionate about, or something that we can look forward to as we move past COVID. And we'll start with Dr. Attride-Stirling.
Sure, Don. Thank you. I think I just want to reemphasize the reimagining that the minister spoke about, right, with respect to Bermuda Day, because it kind of has to apply to everything that we do that might involve close contact, and that might involve kind of physical or require physical distancing. So whether it's a sporting activity or a cultural activity, any entertainment, a social activity, we have to all keep working at how can we continue to lead as normal lives as possible and do the things that bring us joy and quality of life and meaning to our lives in a way that won't compromise the country's battle against COVID, which requires a lot of creativity and a lot of thinking outside the box and doing things differently. But we clearly can do that. We have been doing it, and it provides actually a lot of exciting opportunities to do things in a different way.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Peets?
Well, just the other day, I got an opportunity just to spend a few minutes outside City Hall to listen to the wonderful performance put on by Joy Barnum. So I'm certainly grateful for the team here at the Department of Culture. They're certainly committed to entertainers and the creative arts. And of course, in the midst of a pandemic, things have not always been great. We've experienced lockdown, we've seen the loss of privileges, and it's certainly been a long time since the pandemic has been here. So I'm looking forward to the events that are going to be happening on every other Saturday, as well as the events that are going to be happening in City Hall regarding the entertainment that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So certainly encouraging those of you who are in Hamilton on those particular days. This is our thank you to you. This is our thank you to the entertainers. And I'm looking forward to just enjoying a little bit of entertainment during this time.
Yeah. Just to put you on the spot, because you mentioned the entertainment. Growing up, did you have a favorite entertainer, Bermudian entertainer?
Bermudian entertainer?
Yes.
Probably if I had to choose, I would Gene Steed, of course, and Shine Hayward. Those two, of course, are very popular in my household. So my parents enjoyed them. So I guess by extension, I enjoyed them as well.
And Jay Fox is probably way up there as well.
Yes, my wife is probably watching and wondering why I didn't mention Jay Fox. Because he was father-in-law, so I didn't really see him as an entertainer. But yeah, he has a huge following. We certainly miss him on stage, but he's still performing, still singing. And yeah, thank you.
And Dr. Attride-Stirling, did you have a favorite entertainer, Bermudian entertainer?
Oh, that's a good question for a politician to answer. A civil servant has to like all of them.
Okay. All right. We appreciate you giving up part of your evening and not being home with your families. Thank you very much for being here.
Yes, thank you. We certainly want to thank you as well as your production team. Please send us an invitation sometime in the future to come back and talk about things related to the ministry.
And on behalf of Bird News, I've been your host, Don Burgess. We've been here with Dr. Ernest Peets. I'm going to see if I can get this correct. The Minister of Youth, Sport. Well, I got it wrong already. Sport, Youth, Culture, and Sport, or is it?
That's the one, yes.
All right, there we go. You know, old habits die hard when you're used to saying one name over and over again. And Dr. Jennifer Attride-Stirling, Permanent Secretary for the Ministry. On behalf of Bird News, I wish our listening audience a very beautiful evening.